What's going on, Last Mark Standing faithful? It is your host, Damian Salty G, joined by his partner in crime, the Marky Smart Trina. We are the Last Mark Standing. SoundCloud, iTunes, lastmarkstanding.com, all that good stuff. Trina, welcome back.
Hi. We were just saying off
It's
air.
good to have you back, partner.
Yeah, it's been a month. We haven't been on camera together in a very long time.
And happy podcasting anniversary, by the way.
That's true. We did miss our 1 year. Oh.
We did miss the 1 year, but it's been a year of Last Mark Standing shenanigans. So here's to another year of craziness.
Craziness.
Yeah. Crazy. You want to talk crazy.
Oh, let's get into it, guys.
No. You know how we tend to go a little deeper than most shows do, right? You know this, right, Trina?
Yes. I cry.
And you cry, and I salt, and people get flattered, and everything works out in the end, like an after-school special. But something that hasn't worked out like an after-school special, that's really gotten my goat or gotten my salt in a bunch, or whatever you want to call it, there's been a rash of bullying stories going on in WWE, and for a larger part, in wrestling in general. I talked about this last night with Civil during Indie Pop about the Old Boys Network. And a lot of today's or this week's tension and last week's tension revolves around one of my favorite people in the wrestling business, Mauro Ranallo, who is probably, if not already, the best play-by-play announcer in the last, 5 years since JR fully retired or went his separate way?
Right. I'm an MMA fan, so I would say longer than that. I mean, in all of fight sports, I consider him one of the best.
Right.
He's just a great fit for wrestling generally.
Because he's happy. He's a fan like we are. So you can tell he's passionate about what he does. But unfortunately, he suffered, for those that don't know, Mauro is open with his suffering of bipolar disorder. And he went through a rough patch. Now, the rumors are, and we don't like to do rumors here, but it feels like all the evidence is really pointing in this direction, that the main culprit is one John Bradshaw Layfield. Now, Trina, before I get your 2 cents on this, let's just call it what it is. If this is indeed true, and I wouldn't be surprised because they do take shots at each other on social media, this is history. JBL has a history of doing stuff like this. The Blue Meanie, Edge, Steve Blackman, countless others. This is a plague. Not even him. This kind of behavior is a plague. And I feel that in wrestling, in sports, with hazing, and in life on Twitter, social media, there's a lot of bullies out there. So before I go all salty on them, I want you to let the Last Mark Standing listeners know, where do you stand on the whole bullying in WWE and in sports in general?
Right. Well, it's interesting if you guys follow my Twitter. So this story has definitely gone further than just wrestling, further than WWE. The reason that I even knew that JBL was involved in any of this is friends who follow MMA, and they have forums and chat rooms that they talk to each other in, and it popped up in MMA forums because Maranello, he used to do Pride and all these other different MMA organizations. And so a lot of MMA fans are big supporters of Mauro, and a lot of MMA fighters and trainers and coaches are big supporters of Mauro. And so, this is everywhere. This story is everywhere. This is not just a contained wrestling story. And like I said, if you follow my Twitter, I posted a story from the New York Post this morning about JBL being the main culprit and the spokesperson for the culture of bullying and hazing within wrestling and possibly even sports. So, this is something that affects more than just wrestling fans, fight fans. I think it's really interesting to me that this story has gotten traction because I think my initial reaction was that nothing was going to be done. JBL, like you said, you mentioned, has had a track record of being a bully. If you've been in wrestling long enough and you read enough dirt sheets, or you're on the wrestling subreddit on Reddit, there's a lot of really weird accusations that have been tossed around. tossed. So I don't know. You know, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. You know, he's not just a verbal bully. You know, he's gotten physical with people. He's a jerk. I mean, in the nicest. That's probably the nicest term that I can use, because this is like I said, this is a very ongoing, long-standing thing that's been going on with JBL, and people know this in the locker room. Fans know this. But yes, to backtrack, I felt like this was just going to blow over. Like I actually really hoped and assumed that Mauro would be at WrestleMania. You know, especially as somebody who goes through bouts of depression and anxiety. And if you guys follow my social media, you know that I was going through something, you know, the weeks leading up to WrestleMania as well. I lost my dog. And so I was pretty sad, you know, and so I was really looking forward to possibly seeing Mauro at WrestleMania because, you know, I tweeted, I think I just wanted to give him a hug, you know, because I don't know what he's been dealing with, that he's still dealing with, but I know that I'd been going through a hard time. And I know that he was inspiring a lot of people, you know, to take care of themselves and to make mental health a priority in their lives. And so I really was looking forward to seeing him at WrestleMania. And when he didn't, you know, I was pretty devastated and sort of started to realize that maybe this is more than just a depressive episode, which, you know, for some people, you know, can last a couple days, can weeks, years, you know, who knows? Like I was hoping that he'd, you know, I don't know, take care of himself, make it to Mania, because no wrestling fan can miss WrestleMania. But it was clear to me that this was something really serious if he missed WrestleMania. And then we're another week after WrestleMania and he's still gone. People start talking about JBL. More people get wind that JBL's the cause, and then you get the fire JBL thing. And I'm astounded that this is still going. I love it. I want to keep it going as much as possible. I want to see where it goes. There's still a part of me that feels like at the end of the day, not much is going to be done. Maybe JBL gets fired, but I feel like the culture of bullying will probably still stay in that locker room. The culture of hazing will still stay in colleges and sports and in general. But as somebody, you know, who is an advocate for people with mental illness and depression and anxieties, social anxiety, things like that. I'm happy that this still has traction, and let's keep it going. And
well, no, but that's the thing. I feel that had this been 5 years ago, there would not be this much traction. But we live in an age of social media and instant reaction, and not for nothing, Mauro has built such a strong following, even in his limited time in WWE. Like you said, he is a combat sports aficionado. He's been there, but now he has this extra added layer of the WWE universe, or wrestling universe, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And they've rallied around him because he's been so open with his afflictions and whatever it is that he's going through. He's been admitted to all this stuff, and that makes you, in the eyes of the general populace, a almost borderline historical figure. Anyone who's willing to put themselves on the line and wear their heart on their sleeves in a constructive manner and say, hey, keep up the good fight. I'm going through this. I know people who are too. We're in this together. Right. That's another reason why this has gotten a lot of traction. You got people DMing me, telling me about their bullying issues. I myself, as you well know, and like I said in my Assault and Flattery, I got bullied a lot as a middle schooler, and I got into a lot of fights. Maybe not the best way to go about handling your bullies, but back in the 90s, that was the way we handled stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you have a different take, because I don't do it as much anymore, but in terms of bullies and going at them, you shared with me.
I know, I'm getting right here.
Way of going after them. So please let the Last Mark Standing audience know, how do you deal with bullies, Trina?
Specifically, we're going to talk about internet bullies and wrestling internet bullies. And to give a little bit of background to people, if they haven't been with the show before, if this is their first time listening, or they just they don't know some of the background here. So I have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I have a lot of social anxiety. I was not diagnosed until I was 30. I just turned 35 in March. And so 31. something like this, just a couple years ago. And so I did experience a lot of bullying as a kid because I was a wrestling fan since I was 5 years old. I didn't have a lot of friends. My parents were really strict. They sheltered me a lot. They were very Catholic, Filipinos, so like very immigrant, clannish, I guess is the word that my mom loves to use. And so I think she loves the word clannish. It's really weird. Like she loves to think that we're like a clan, like our family's a clan. I don't know. Anyway. So, you know, like I spent a lot of time by myself with my brother watching wrestling, and I didn't get to go to people's houses. And, you know, like people thought it was weird because I just didn't have a social life, even as a teenager. And so I kept to myself, you know, and I was in my 20s. I went to college. You know, I found my niche of friends, but just generally sort of stumbling through life, you know, like making it through. You know, I failed out of college once, you know, and then I started working, and then I went to college again. So there are a lot of like missteps here and there. And so it wasn't until it was my early 30s that I decided, you know, I feel like maybe I don't have to live this way. Like, why can't I walk into a room and talk to whoever I want? Or if somebody's giving me a hard time, like why do I just break down into tears all the time and not stand up for myself? And so I felt like at 30, 31, I was like, let's go see what's going on. Like just talk to somebody and see what's happening. See if there's anything that they can do. And I got properly diagnosed. I mean, I had gone to doctors before and they tried different medications, but I actually sought out a doctor that specialized in a lot of the things that I was dealing with, specifically depression, anxiety, things like that. And so it was a good fit, you know, and so we found the right medications for me. And I would say in the last couple of years, I've found myself, not just like as a wrestling fan, as a person, as a woman. You know, now that I'm properly medicated, a lot of the voices of anxiety and doubt are gone, and I'm free to be myself. And that's what I've told people on the podcast before. So if you met me 10 years ago, the hashtag heel Trina character or whatever that you guys see, or the person that you see at shows, didn't really exist, because, you know, there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of depression, anxiety about like what my future would hold. And now the sky's the limit. And I'm feel free to be myself all the time. Like it really doesn't matter. And long story short, now that I've been in the wrestling community for a little bit more than a year and been on Wrestling Internet, I've noticed that there are a lot of internet bullies out there. You know, and one of the things that I wanted to do when I started podcasting was to share what we have in common as wrestling fans. And one of the things that we all have in common is that we were bullied as kids because we liked professional wrestling. I mean, like that wasn't a cool thing. It's still not a cool thing. Kids now are getting bullied for liking it. As adults, we get bullied for liking it. And so we all have that in common. And so if you think about that, we're a community of people who have experienced bullying in our lives. How is it possible that there are now bullies in the internet wrestling community bullying other people? Like, dude, we all went through this. Like, you know how it feels. Why are you doing this to other people? And I guess, you know, like as I started getting more popular and people started listening to me, and I just got more and more angry about just people bullying each other, especially people who are so, you know, they're putting themselves out there, they're vulnerable, sharing themselves with all of us. I just had it. And so, you know, like, somebody DM'd me and was like, this, you know, this person keeps harassing me. It's giving me anxiety. I can't get online and share my love of wrestling with all of my friends. And so I found the person that was harassing her. This was a male harassing a female. And I just like went hard. I don't know if most of you know the way I destroy people online sometimes. I just went at him really, really hard. And, you know, most of the time, my TLDR, my thesis that I like to tell people is, I get it, you're a bully, and I can't stop you from doing what you're doing, but don't mess with the people that I love. Know that they have somebody looking out for them who doesn't care about their internet reputation, who doesn't care whether I have a Twitter or not. You know, I've talked about this on other podcasts with like Gino and Cage Side Seats or whoever. Like, somebody pushes me, like I'm willing to take this ship down to protect the ones that I love. You know, I know Damian gets a lot of hate mail. He doesn't tell me about it. He doesn't show it to me because he knows that if, you know, there was somebody that was really targeting him, like I wouldn't stop until that person was taken down. And it doesn't really matter if I get taken down with them because, you know, this is a thing I do for love and I do for passion. And it's like, at the end of the day, if I get kicked off of wrestling Twitter, I still have a family and a job and I'll just go do something else. Or I don't know, like, I just don't care. So just don't,
but that's
my
thing,
family and friends.
Well, that's what it is. And that's what, you know what it is? I honestly believe that because I say it all the time, we're all in this together kind of thing. And a lot of people may poo-poo that statement, but think about it. If a lot of us are getting bullied by someone or a group of people, we're at the age now where, let's be honest here, Tree, you and I can't go flying off the handle and like, you know, uppercutting someone out their socks every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But we have at our disposal 144 characters, which we can eviscerate verbally anyone if they have the unmitigated gall to attack anyone that is in the Wrestle Fan, for one, or two, who are just minding their own business. Like, I see it at shows all the time where it starts with one, then it goes with two. It goes like with the disrespect of women's wrestlers, you know. Then it goes off with the Paige thing, and that's where someone like me and people who are with me at Raw can attest to this. That's when I start to get annoyed and I start cracking on you. The minute you start cracking on someone who didn't do anything to you, you're proving to me that you're a jack off. So with that being said, I don't gotta punch you in the face. I don't gotta hit you in the throat. All I gotta do is verbally tongue lash you and make you feel really stupid for even bothering to open your mouth. And I think you, me, and everyone else who can use our verbal ammunition, you know, for a living or even here, we're better off for it as a group and a community.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so cliche, especially with all the campaigns that are going around. But if you see something, say something. Like, we're adults now, you know. Like, this is not the place to be quiet, to sit on your hands and just like ignore it. You know, like, we're all adults. Like, and at the end of the day, like, the people that do these things that are disruptors and are just mean and bulliers, you know, like they're chicken shit. So it's like, you know, like sometimes like all it takes is to say like one thing and that's it. You know, like a couple people that were with me at the CZW Best of the Best show during Mania weekend, it wasn't even bullies. They were just disrupting the show and ruining the show for everybody else. And so I had to say something. You know, Vic Venom Bites, he's on Twitter. You guys know him. Eric Wayne's an independent wrestler. He was there too. There were just some like people who like in any other situation, you were like, these are the nerdy people in the room. You know what I mean? Like they looked like, I don't feel really bad saying this. Is like, I'm a bully. I'm so sorry.
You bully the bullies. We talked about
right.
This.
So it's like, you know, in any other situation, they're the nerds. Like, and I'm just going to say that I apologize to anyone that's whatever. Anyway, they were the nerds, but they were the assholes at the Nerd Fest of CZW Best of the Best. You know, like, we're hardcore wrestling fans. Like, literally everybody else was at Ring of Honor or NXT. And then you had us who went to CZW to watch Best of the Best. And so to me, those are dedicated fans. And then so if you and your asshole friends are just going to go and be like, wrestling's so serious. Like, they were just like saying really dumb things really loudly that weren't adding to the experience. You know, like if someone reacted really loudly to a bump, someone behind me would be like, it's not that serious. Like,
shut the fuck up.
So, you know, some stuff like that. So it's like they were making fun of the fans that were being a little too intense, which if you've seen me at a show, you know what that's like. And so to me, it wasn't, they weren't necessarily bullying anybody, but they were ruining the experience for all of us. We all paid to be there. We all wanted to be there and see the show. And so I turned around and I was just like, I looked at the one guy that kept talking and I was just like, shut the fuck up, and like turned around. And the thing is, he looked at me for a minute and you could tell like he had no idea what to do. So he laughed. And it's like, I really, when he laughed, Like, I turned to Eric Wayne, who happens to carry a taser with him, by the way. And I just looked at him and I was like, can I? That's all I said. And he was like, relax. He was like, you scared him by just saying, shut the fuck up. But if this escalates, he's like, I'm ready to go. So, you know, like, that's the thing. Like, you guys are probably new to Eric Wayne. Like, he just got back on social media. So, he's like, he'll appear on my social media every once in a while. But, you know, he became one of my ride or dies this week during WrestleMania week, because he was willing to like throw down when I was willing to throw down. You know, and Vic was there. Vic laughed. He was just like, yeah, that's a total Trina thing. But sometimes, like, that's all it takes is to just turn around, look someone in the eye and be like, shut the fuck up. No one thinks you're funny. You're ruining this for everybody. Like, I'm going to say something to you. And that was, you know, that's it. So,
you know, when you say this makes me worried for the rest of the world, because once you're uncorked, we're all screwed.
Right, exactly.
Number two, I remember something specific a few years ago. I was at, and I can tell you what movie I saw. It was the second Transformers movie. I was in the theater, and there was a couple of teeny boppers behind me, and you know, I tend to be a little bit more patient than I was in my younger years now, but back then I had a bit of a short fuse. So they're talking shit about Optimus Prime and you know, just about the movie in general. And I know Michael Bay sucks, but
yes,
don't interrupt me when I'm watching my Transformers, Trina. You know that's
well, don't.
So I turn
don't
around,
speak slander about Optimus Prime.
Right, I turn around and I say, if you little shits don't stop flapping your gums, I'm going to snap both your fucking necks.
Yes! I love you so much.
The immediate fear that follows.
In the face? Right.
You think, oh my God, I'm no better than they are to do something like that. I am so sorry.
Oh, don't be. See, this is where no shame. Don't have any shame in that.
Oh no, but again, this is years ago. Like, I didn't care years ago, but now in retrospect, I'm like, damn, I just almost wanted to snap those kids' necks.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So
fast forward, and we're all proud of you. So
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Everyone applaud the fact that I want to beat the crap out of some teeny boppers. Yes, like, because we all have wanted to do that at least once or twice in our life. But I digress. Going back to the whole thing about JBL and Mauro, I just, this has been part of sports culture. As you know, Trina, I've talked to athletes. I've talked to plenty of people in businesses who do hazing. And they say, oh, it's an old school way of weeding out the weak. Well, last I checked, how is that helping your productivity as a company? By driving your number one announcer away because of some blowhard who's been in the company for since 96? You know why? Because he's part of your Fox and Friends group, Vince McMahon. Is that why you're keeping him on the payroll? So for me, to see that a person with way more talent in his voice than JBL has in his complete self to announce is being sided with. And would I be surprised if JBL suspended? No, I wouldn't be surprised. Would I be surprised if he gets fired? Of course, because there's no freaking way in hell they're firing him over this, because this is some old school, old boy mentality, good old boy mentality that even though we're in 2017, it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they fire him either.
They can't.
I mean, if they do, it would be really, really interesting. It's tough, you know. Like, as somebody who considers myself now a bit of an alpha and somebody who does bullies or people I just think are assholes, I understand the mentality of weeding out the weak, survival of the fittest, you know. Like, I get that mentality, but I think the world evolves and I think life evolves, and I think that's not necessarily something that's needed anymore, because the strong physically, for example, typically rise to the top anyway. You know, like, you don't need to bully people to figure out like who's mentally strong. Like, the world is tough enough, and the world is harsh enough that you don't need that extra like jerk in the locker room or guy at work to make your life harder. Like, we're all dealing with crazy stuff. We don't know what each other's dealing with, like, but we're all dealing with crazy stuff. And I just don't feel like at this point, trying to find the mentally weak, the physically weak, the whatever is helpful. I think in this society, in this day and time, I think it's about finding the smart people, the people that can help us move forward. You know, and Mauro Ranallo has proven himself to be one of those people. He's reignited wrestling passion in a lot of people. You know, and he's showed people that talking about mental illness and being bipolar or whatever is okay. Like, he's galvanized people. He's strengthened people. So he is, to me, an important asset, not just to the WWE, but to humanity as a whole. And I think that's, you know, like, that's what we should be pushing to the top, not trying to weed out. And if you're a good businessman, which, I mean, supposedly JBL is, like, somebody like that, and think, oh, they're weak, you see them as an asset. You know, and if anything, JBL's the weak one for not having the foresight to see that he's a valuable addition to the team, and he's valuable to WWE, and he's valuable to the fans. You
know, JBL just strikes me, and I know there are some pro JBL guys out there. Yeah. And like we said before, I'm not trying to say that we know for a fact that he was the main cause, but we're talking about a history, a pattern of behavior. You know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. So he typifies the kind of person or human that gets his jollies off on picking on someone until that person steps up and says, yo, touch me again and watch what happens to you. Like the story with Steve Blackman. Yeah. You know, where Blackman, you know, Blackman almost killed him in an airport. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that his foot got caught in a baggage cart, he would have knocked JBL's teeth out of his mouth completely.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
I mean,
and the fact that Bob Holly had to play peacemaker.
Right. I mean, he's a relic is what it comes down to. Like, the people that are standing up for him, or the people that are saying that, like, there's a place for him, are the people who are holding on to relics of the past that we don't need. There are enough relics lying around in Vince McMahon and institutionalized sexism and homophobia and racism that we don't need a guy like JBL reminding us that, you know, things were rougher back in the day. I don't know, you know, like, that he's a relic. Like, that's, like, his shit is just not relevant anymore.
He's like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. I know I like to make that point about myself, but he's even more grumpier and just a crotchety MFer than Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. And you're right, it's a bygone behavior. But every once in a while, especially in industries where it's male dominated, it's, you know, the strong survive, like you said, it's very Darwinistic, and that will continue to run rampant. But, and here's where we come in, because, quote unquote, the meek shall inherit the earth, it's almost like a Revenge of the Nerds kind of thing. And I don't mean this as a derogatory statement, because I'm a nerd. So we are now the ones who are coming up and saying, no, this ain't gonna work, bro.
Right.
I don't gotta clock you in the face, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
I can just find other ways to get over on you. So it goes back to the whole don't start none, won't be none. And people like, you know, JBL or anyone who fits that motif, that's what's gonna happen to you, man. You think it's funny now. You think, oh, these keyboard bullies, these people who go off on our Twitter fam, the people who DM me, you know, about my life and about our Twitter fam, just wait. Just wait, because something's going to happen, because karma has a way of working itself out somehow, some way. So a block button isn't going to be good enough for you.
Right.
But you're
karma,
dude, you know, but you're the dude or the woman, because it happens from both sexes and both genders. You're going to get something that happens to you. Either A, someone's going to pop you in the mouth, or B, you're going to be put in that position where you made fun of someone or you hurt someone because you thought you were better than them, bigger than them, or because you thought they couldn't take it. And if and when that day inevitably comes, You'll see how the other side works. And then you know what's going to happen? Here comes the I told you so's. I don't say it a lot, but in those situations, told you so.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think when it comes to someone like JBL, I think in the best case scenario, he'll just, and I don't mean to use this word because the Hardys are there, but he'll become obsolete. You know, like that's what happens to like old school bullies, is that they've spent their time trying to keep the weak down and bully other people, that they haven't evolved with the times. And at the end of the day, I think that's what's going to get him. It's like, I don't think he'll necessarily get a comeuppance. He probably will get beat up. I don't know. He'll probably get punched or something like that. But I don't think he's necessarily going to get an I told you so, but more like a no one gives a fuck about you anymore, dude. Like,
and it's going to get to that point. And
yeah.
And Chris Hargrove brought this up in the chat, where he mentioned, you know, inevitably JBL is just going to go to Fox and Friends to be amongst his people, and right. You know, he'll inevitably leave the WWE. Now, I guarantee you that Hall of Fame induction that may happen for him.
Yeah,
I want to see who inducts that guy. It's probably going to be Ron Simmons just because, but I don't picture JBL having a lot of friends.
Right. He will though.
Act like him.
He will. He's gonna have friends, and it sucks. Like, you know, he's probably gonna get inducted, and they'll like pretend nothing happened. WWE does that, but I think to jump on your point that you were talking about earlier is that we do have the power to do something. I think the last week or two has showed a lot of people that internet nerds can do something about a bully. You know, like we can like bring signs to shows, get kicked out, have people have that on video. We can call on people like Pat Miletich or Bas Rutten to be like, hey, you know, what do you guys think? Like, I'm absolutely serious that I'm going to UFC KC on Saturday. I'm going to tweet Pat Miletich. I mean, we follow each other. I've seen Steve Blackman at these shows. I'm going to try and rally support for Morrow, because I know that there's a lot of love for him in MMA. And I would love to just get a couple clips here and there of like just support from friends that maybe he hasn't seen in a while. You know, who knows how he's dealing with everything. So, you know, I would love to get clips from Pat Miletich, a clip from Steve Blackman, clip from anybody in the MMA world, to show him that it's not just wrestling fans who love watching SmackDown that are behind him, that we're all paying attention. You know, like it's not just like wrestling nerds in their mom's basement. It's giant dudes like Bas Rutten, or dudes that have entire fighting systems named after them, like Pat Miletich. Like, we're all paying attention. We're all on Morrow's side, and we can do something about this.
You made a very good point, and it was about, you know, coming together and support, and the fact that you're trying to rally the MMA community to voice their support. And I think that's the most important thing. The fact that anyone out there, we sound like a broken record. If I feel like an infomercial, if you've been the victim of a bully, please feel free to tweet the show at Last Mark Podcast, or DM myself or Trina, and we will take care of it. That's essentially how I feel, you know, like just let us know. We got it. And I'm sure the rest of our friends got it too. So I'm going to put this to bed on my end just by saying whether or not this is true, I'm only speaking again about the history. There will be a time where the minority of those types of individuals will slowly dwindle, and we come to a point where eventually the reverse mob mentality works out when it comes to bullying, where people like you who shoot down the BS, you know, it starts with 1, then it's 3, and so on and so forth. But in a positive way, where we're not trying to beat the crap out of somebody, but just, look, man, you're in the wrong place to do something like this. You really want to go here right now.
Right. Just there are more of us than there are of you.
Yeah. Just sit down, enjoy the show, stop being a jackanapes, and support what you like to do, which is watch professional wrestling. So just shut the fudge buckets up. And that's my take, because I know too many people who've been bullied on social media. I've had to play Dr. Phil a little bit in the DMs and, you know, in my personal life for other people who have been bullied lately. So I go through this all the time. I deal with this daily in all my jobs. So just know we got you back. So as always, tweet myself at Dare to be Damian, Trina at the Marquis Mark, the show at Last Mark Podcast. We're here for you. So anyone out there, if you know anyone who needs someone to talk to, bring it over here, baby. We got them. So that's my end of talking about bullying. So if you have any final thoughts on bullying.
I think people have seen my work.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
For itself. And another thing that speaks for itself, and the Last Mark listeners can really get behind this, is I want to revisit something really fast about work speaking for itself. There was a time, and there still is a time, where WWE likes to whet our appetites for someone who we've seen on the independent circuit or in other promotions, and we think, man, this person, man or woman, has the chance to be the best at what they do, or one of the best at what they do. But then we set ourselves up for disappointment. There's been countless number of people who have come through WWE's door, even back in the WWF days, only to be left at the feet of whatever politics in the back happened. But something happened a year ago that, till now, that really surprised me, and I hope it's the start of something different. Now, a year ago, Trina, you made a very interesting prediction. You said, and this is an exact quote, I'm just paraphrasing here, that the phenomenal AJ Styles will undoubtedly become a WWE Hall of Famer. Now, I scoffed at this. I laughed. If you go back and watch that episode, I literally said, are you crazy? Not unless they buy out TNA. That's the only way they do it. But here I am a year later with you on Last Mark Standing, and I gotta say, this is the first time I've seen an outside WWE guy be the man in such a short time. Not over 3 years, 4 years, like Stone Cold when he be from Stunning Steve to Stone Cold. I'm talking about rapid succession and rapid ascension to the throne of WWE, and that is AJ Styles. So your prediction is no longer as far-fetched as it once was. So thank you for that, Trina. And I'd like to shed some light onto what made you come up with that prediction. Feel free.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about it off air, you know, and you were like, oh, I think it's time for me to sort of come clean with the fact that I agree with, that you agree with me now that AJ is most likely going to be a WWE Hall of Famer. And I don't think necessarily that it's you having to, you know, eat crow or whatever, prove that you're wrong. I think history tells us that WWE doesn't necessarily do some of our favorite superstars justice. You know, we have a couple of new people that just got signed, Chris Hero or Cassius Ohno, Aleister Black, it's Tommy End. It's weird for me to like say these names, but you know, Shinsuke just came up to the main roster, and a lot of people have been worried that the main roster will do something to him, do something to his character, do something to the it factor that he's brought to NXT. And so there's always a concern that WWE is going to screw up our favorites. And so it is totally understandable because you knew AJ Styles before he got signed to WWE last year. You'd seen his work, to think that this is just going to be another example of WWE, you know, sanitizing, dumbing down, emasculating, I don't know, a million things that they do to our favorite superstars that we've seen wrestle all around the world, who I think people would argue at some time AJ Styles is the best in the world before he was at WWE. And so, you know, we've seen WWE screw these things up. And so it's completely plausible to think that someone like AJ Styles would come in and just fall into the middle of the roster, like it happens to a lot of people. So my thinking was when he debuted at Royal Rumble, I popped big time. You know, I'd been waiting for him to come over. I just felt like he was a little different, that he was going to be able to overcome this, that he had enough of an it factor. make it through all the muck and the crap that WWE ends up like putting on these guys. And I have a lot of hope for Shinsuke Nakamura as well. I've been going back and forth about like whether he should come up and whatever, and I've debated with people, and I think he's going to be fine. I know a lot of people are worried, and I can't say that for everybody that's been called up or been signed. I'm very worried about how Chris Hero is going to get booked when he comes up onto the main roster. So WWE just has never historically given us any hope that they will do the right thing with people that have proven themselves to be very good, exceptional wrestlers on the independent scene or in Japan or in other organizations. Sometimes it's hard. Like, even if you have the it factor, the machine finds ways to like destroy you somehow. Right. Like Cesaro. Like Kevin Owens is another exception. What I said to you off air was that AJ Styles and KO, they're the 1%. Like 99% of the time, WWE finds a way to screw it up. I think we're sort of entering a time now with NXT that's super exciting, where maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, people were like, they forgot there was even a takeover. But now that we have Drew McIntyre back, and we have Cassius Ohno and Shinsuke's up in the main roster now, and I don't know, it feels exciting again. Don't sleep on NXT. I think we have an interesting mix of people there now. And I know it was getting kind of boring to some people, and people were just like, I'm tired of seeing Bobby Roode and Shinsuke keep going at it. But they've signed a couple new people. Some people are back. Some people are coming out of their shells. So I think pay attention, because if we give up on NXT, which is kind of what I feel like people have been doing the last couple of weeks, we don't give those people a chance to make a splash, like the splash that we know that they can make. Specifically someone like Ruby Riott, like, loved her on the independents. It's like, don't stop watching NXT now, because there's just a bunch of new people now that we need to elevate, so that when they go up to the main roster, like, they can have the fanfare that they deserve. Like, I think the Revival, is one of those,
I love them, man. I love them so much.
But do you worry about what the main roster will do to them?
I worry that after the initial, and it's the same thing with Ty, after the initial rush of, yeah, they're up, and it's like, oh, so now the writers got a hold of them. Oh, right. Now they're going to give them a stupid gimmick. Oh, exactly. They're not going to do what made them successful. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know, like, just let's not give up. It sucks, because I feel like it's possible to turn things around. I feel like before he got injured, Cesaro was getting enough of a push that there was a chance that we could have seen what we wanted to see. He came
back the night after WrestleMania last year. That pop he got, man, listen, you would have thought future world champion right then and there.
Right, exactly. And so that's what I mean. I know it's easy to get like bummed out about the way that people are getting booked, the way that the writers are doing things or whatever, the way WWE is just, I don't know, squashes people and stuff. But we still have the power to put people over. I mean, AJ has done a lot of the work himself, no doubt. He has put on amazing matches, some of the best matches of his career in the last year, and he's made people look good. That's part of it too. He's helped put young talent over. He's done pretty much everything he was supposed to do and more. And we stayed on the train with him, and now he's amazing. Like I think it's just so easy for someone like an AJ Styles to come in, not be able to find their niche, have the fans be kind of confused about how they're supposed to view him, whatever, blah, 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 and sort of shrink. But I think AJ Styles has taken this opportunity, given us the best matches of his life, shown people that he's a veteran that can put young talent over, that has different facets of his character still that he can reveal. I mean, he's just working it, like he's taking advantage of this opportunity, and KO's done the same. And we've responded to it. So, keep pushing your favorites. Don't let WWE kill it.
So that's a good question I can ask the Last Mark universe. Who exactly, in your opinions, and you can say in the chat, you can say it on Twitter, do you worry that WWE is going to F up next? Because Trina's worried about Nakamura. Yeah. I'm worried about the Revival and Nakamura. So feel free to tweet us at Last Mark Podcast, Dare to be Damian and Marky and the Marky Smark. I just want to know, who do you think WWE is going to mess up next? Or do you think that there's someone that can overcome? Like, prime example, even though he came from the Indies and then came up through the minors. Seth Rollins.
Right.
When the Shield was going strong, they said he'd be the one that get left behind. And then he became, before he got injured the first time, borderline superstar of the year with 5-star match after 5-star match after electrifying match, improving on the mic. So they didn't mess him up. But to your point, I honestly believe they're going to mess up Shinsuke. And that's why he has to stay on SmackDown, because Raw won't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
They're going to put him out there with this bootleg audience on some soap opera heel type gimmick. That's why Dolph is the perfect person. You've said this before. Ziggler's the perfect person to be the gatekeeper for new talent.
Yeah.
Now, I would have expected him to go up against Ty Dillinger first, but Nakamura, that tells you enough about Ziggler where it's like, Ziggs, we trust you. Work with Nakamura. It's going to be a good match. And no, you said last night, you can't wait to see that match live.
Yeah. Well, and I see, this is the thing. I did see that match live.
I know.
There's a good and bad part to this. So one, let me just say, Ziggler is perfect because that man sells everything as if he's like dying. So to see him take I can't say it. Kinshasa, yes, will be amazing. And what I will say is that I got stranded last week in Orlando. My bag ended up somewhere, and so I ended up staying in town for SmackDown. I have a friend that works for production, and so he was able to get me a ticket. And I saw the dark match between Ziggler and Nakamura. And I know people have been playing the entrance over and his debut on SmackDown. Everybody's been saying how amazing it was. And trust me, it felt amazing in the arena. Goosebumps, it was great. And so we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to get to see him wrestle later in the night. We didn't know if it was going to be after SmackDown, in between like 205 or whatever. It ended up being the very last match of the night. It was the dark match, which I think that placement was a little weird. Because the people that stick around for 205 are the diehards, and the diehards at that point had been there for like 3.5 hours. And it's like, we love Nakamura and we tried to give as much as we could. But it was weird. Like, I think they definitely did that dark match for Shinsuke to sort of get a feel, of working with Ziggler, and for Ziggler to get a feel of working with him, and just to work the kinks out. But I have to say, as a fan, it was a little sad to see people not really paying attention. It was at that point, it was like 10:30. Like I said, people had been there for 3.5 hours. A lot of the front row was like already gone. It's like we had given so much energy to WWE in the last week. It was a weird thing. It's like to give us Shinsuke and Ziggs as a dark match at 10:30 at night, the Tuesday after WrestleMania. And so it showed me that there is a chance that there is a situation where Nakamura can be in the ring and people cannot be enthralled. You know what I mean? Like, whenever he's in the ring, when he enters the arena, like, I get goosebumps every time. But because I'd been so tired from the week and whatever, and it's like, it was just a weird thing to be in an arena, see him wrestling, and it just kind of be dead. So what I'm telling you guys is that there is a situation, a scenario where people don't get it, where people don't care. This man right now is the greatest performer out there, not even just like in sports entertainment. I mean, I would argue, like, he's the Bruno Mars right now of like sports entertainment, like the man is just, he's power. He's an enigma. Like, you just feel it. When you're in, I've seen 3 of his entrances live, and I've been a wrestling fan for more than 25 years. The only other person that's given me the feeling that Shinsuke gives me when he enters is The Undertaker. It's the energy that he brings. It's the way that he makes all the fans feel. The people that are surrounding me, I can feel them like anticipating him walking out, anticipating him do the move. I mean, it's an incredible thing. And he clearly has something that other people don't. but just know that there's a scenario here where like people don't get it. You know, like people don't feel what we feel. You and me, you know, you and I and Andrew Zarian, we were at TakeOver, like singing together and just like having the best time. Like it's weird for us to think that there are people that can experience that and not be moved, but I'm telling you that there are. So let's make sure this train keeps going. And if you're at a match of Shinsuke's or whatever, like keep it going. You know, because we have to show these like casuals, we have to show people that don't know what they're missing. You know, think about when you were a kid and somebody wasn't sold on The Undertaker. Like, what'd you do? Like, how did we convince them that this dude was like once in a lifetime? Like, how do we convince non-fans or casuals that when they're watching Nakamura, this is once in a lifetime?
That's where the WWE production company comes into play here. And you know they're great with a lot of their video packages and their vignettes, and it's high quality. That's why I feel that even though, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't catch all SmackDown. Has Nakamura said a word yet?
He didn't. So I watched SmackDown last night. For like the bulk of the segment that he was on, he didn't. He did eventually talk, but I think it showed a lot of people because 75% of the time that he was on camera, he didn't talk. There were enough tweets that went by to show people that this man can move an entire arena of people without even saying a word. So that's the way that they have to do it. You know, they have to let things breathe. They can't force things. It's got to feel organic. You know, like we have to, as fans, you know, show people how it feels to be a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, I don't know if I'm like communicating well or sort of like expressing myself the right way. But
because to me, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, you know, like I think everyone should be able to experience this. You know, like I want everyone to have that moment that like you, me, and Andrew had, and Deacon, like we were all together, like experiencing something awesome. It's exactly what being a wrestling fan is about. You know, like it didn't matter that we're all in our 30s and we're like grown up adults and whatever. Like we're just all together, like ooh, like it was just so fantastic. And so it's like I feel like everyone should have that. At the end of the day, someone's like he's not my deal. Like just try and get them to see him once.
Yeah, and I told you that when I was first introduced to come back to wrestling, it was the Nakamura Zayn match, and I brought in 2 new fans just by showing them that match. And how I described him was, and if you follow nerd video games and stuff like that and fighting games, I described him as a King of Fighters character. He looks like he's a straight up rock star in Japan, that he's androgynous. He just looks like you want to look at him more. You don't want to take your eyes off him because you don't know what he's going to do, you know. And the fact that he has this combat background in his past, you know, that makes him even more of a draw, because he could, without question, just kick your fucking head off if you're not careful. You know, he's gonna knee your jaw out of place. Ask Samoa Joe. You know, he got his jaw popped just from a Kinshasa. And Joe's one of the toughest dudes in professional wrestling. Yeah. So for that to happen, that just shows you this man is magnetic. And once they finally uncork him, and I'll be one of the first to admit, his NXT run after maybe the first month, a lot of it was paint by numbers. You know, same spots, same this, same that. But if they uncork him, especially on a big stage, I think he has the power. And we talk about drawing potential. He has the power to bring in a boatload of money for WWE and for Vince McMahon, especially in the Japanese market, which they're always trying to market to different countries and different organizations out there. So the sky's the limit for him. The sky's the limit for AJ Styles. And here's the funny part. These dudes, and Kevin Owens, these dudes are in their mid-30s to late 30s.
Right. I know.
There ain't no spring chickens. You know what I mean? So I think that also has a lot to do with it. And I talked about this on Assault and Flattery. Chris Jericho in his mid-40s. You know, you have, like I said, the guys mentioned, Samoa Joe is 37. These are dudes who know how to work the game, who play the game, you know, pun unintended. But they are guys who can bring some extra money, but there is no one aside from AJ and Shinsuke, I honestly believe, that can stem the tide of this whole indie guys are garbage in WWE, or WWE is going to butcher them or bury them. That's why they're on SmackDown, because that's an audience that appreciates wrestling. You know, to borrow your phrase, they appreciate wrestling, you know, not sports entertainment, even though they both are rather entertaining. So I have tepid optimism regarding Shinsuke Nakamura. I feel the minute he opens his mouth, Kevin Dunn's going to panic. He's going to, like they did with Becky Lynch. Oh, got to give him less mic time. Oh, give him a mouthpiece. Something. You know, but look what happened.
But people will complain about that. Right. But I mean, that's
they'll complain.
That's the thing. We have to be reasonable about this as wrestling fans. Because the thing is, like, say he doesn't, they keep him quiet, which they kind of did that to AJ for. I followed it really closely.
They didn't let him talk,
but that's
at all.
They didn't. Yeah, they did that to AJ for the first couple months. You know, like he was not on the mic, and I think that was really smart of them. And so, you know, there's a possibility here that they do the right thing by him, and you know, they build him to the star that he's meant to be. But let's just take it easy, because I can see a scenario where, say, they don't give him the mic or he doesn't talk for a couple of weeks and things like that, and people are like, you know, like, ooh, racist WWE is not letting him speak because he has an accent or whatever. Like, This is a very delicate thing. So let's nurture it like the delicate, beautiful thing that it is, and not be as critical as we typically are with WWE, and be optimistic about what they're doing, because I think, you know, the end of the day, we can't trust them to do the right thing. You know, so let's not egg them on. Let's not help them screw this up anymore that they may. You know, so just light expectations. You know, don't be so critical. Let's see how this plays out, because I think if we just give these guys the support that they need, which you know, I think we've done with someone like KO and AJ, you show them that we are reinforcing them, they can come out of their shell and do what they need to do and do what they want to do, you know, because I think when anyone feels like the audience is focusing on the wrong thing, it can be very disheartening. So if I was Shinsuke Nakamura and I see the internet, you know, fighting about dumb things like, oh, they're not letting him talk or they're going to screw him up, like, everyone's negative, like, he's going to feed off of that. Like, let's just be positive and shove it down their throats and be like, we're going to make him a star, whether WWE is going to screw him up or not. Like, we're going to make this happen, and he's going to feed off of that. Because, like, that's the type of person he is. Like, you can see it in his performance.
He reads the room. You could tell.
He reads the room. So that's the thing. So it's like, you know, like, if we do our jobs and give him the positive reinforcement that he needs and the support that he needs, he's going to take off. Like, screw WWE. Like, he's just going to take off and, like, do whatever he wants and prove everybody wrong, and it's going to be awesome.
Please don't. This is not a time for people to start a "This is awesome" chant. Let's not do that in the chat room. Let's not do that on Twitter. You know, everyone overuses the whole term "This is awesome," but I can't lie. I did on Periscope. I recorded his debut. I had chills. I shed a fucking tear, Trina. Yeah. You know I don't cry, but for this, I shed a damn tear. So I have a special connection to Shinsuke Nakamura, so that's why I'm going with the tepid optimism.
Right.
But the optimism I don't have is for another group of people. And Trina, I want you to give me about 2 or 3 minutes of just pure, unadulterated salt, no flattery. This is straight up assault. So buckle in, folks. And if people who don't know, who don't follow assault and flattery, I tend to do a different type of broadcast when it's just me. I kind of just go head first. I don't care. I don't care who gets upset. I don't care if you don't like my topic. I just tell you the show that I have, and for some reason people are drawn to it. So I used to have a thing called 2 minutes to shut the fudge up. Not going to do that. No, it's not 2 minutes to shut the fuck up anymore. Now this is just straight up assault and flattery. Okay. So look at this handsome face. Now just
get him, Salt Bay.
Get him. Salt Bay, exactly. The new t-shirt coming out. Benny, work on that. All the people online, social media, everywhere, who are bitching and moaning about and what I'm about to say just makes me sad as a human, who are bitching and moaning about Dean Ambrose and Renee Young getting married in secret, and the fact that some of these yahoos went looking for the marriage license to prove that they got married because, private investigators, amateur PIs, good job on your part. But you have this subsect. We talked about bullies on one hand, and then we got the ultimate subsect here, which is people who take this way too seriously. Mm-hmm. People who religiously care about the soap opera outside the ring. And we've talked about it on Last Mark Standing, where we separate the performer from the person. But some of y'all, sorry to say this, some of y'all are taking this a little too far, to the point where you're not even heartbroken. You're sending death threats. You're sending hate mail. You're putting juju curses. And I've seen it on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Someone's putting old school juju curses on the marriage of Renee Young and Dean Ambrose. And I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with you? No. And I'm not even talking about those people who need psychiatric help, because I'm here for that. But I'm talking about, what's the term the kids use? The stands out there who they just can't handle the fact that Dino got married to Renee in secret, just like Sasha got married to Mikaze in secret. Why? Because some of you mofos out there are going to take it to heart, to the point where you're threatening to kill them, kill yourselves. You make fun of them for marrying the partner. God forbid two people get married that you don't know in real life, but you have a judgment to pass on it. So I don't understand, Trina, because this is why I don't mention my personal life a lot on air, because of stupid nonsense like this. And I'm just a broadcaster. So I can only imagine the amount of vitriol that these two crazy kids who decided to get married this past weekend had gone through, because of these jackanapes who decided that they want to cry and bitch and moan because, ew, Renee's too pretty for him. Or, ew, Dean's so hot. Why did he get with Renee? He should have got with Nikki Bella or something. Really, that's the thing we're harping on. Not, well, they got married. Cool. But no one's... You see the veins popping out of my head right now. You're
so vascular.
My vascularity is popping back out again. And it just pained me to know that there is a subsect culture in professional wrestling and sports in general, that these fanatics, because, fan is short for fanatic, can take it to the upteenth level where I really have to ask, do you need professional help? Because I am willing to offer my services at Dare to be Damian. My rates will be discussed in private. If you want to vent about losing Dean Ambrose to Renee Young, or Renee Young to Dean Ambrose, or even Paige to Del Rio, Nikki to John, who else? Brian to Bree, Miz to Maurice, why do y'all give a shit? Why does it matter? Stay out of other people's bedrooms. How many times I gotta say this? Are you having sex with them? No. Are we? No. So why the fuck do you care? Seriously, why do you care? Tweet me at Dare to be at me at Dare to be Damian. Tell your friends, why do you care about what goes on in other people's bedrooms? Is it the Total Divas thing? Is it reality TV? Because that's not real. Newsflash, it's all staged. Just like wrestling is staged, all this entertainment is staged. It's a gimmick, and you all are falling for it. And a lot of it is these teeny bopper 15, 16-year-olds that, but I love him. Trina, you know that phrase, but I love him. Who you love? You love Dean Ambrose? You don't love John Good? You love Dean Ambrose. You love, I think it was Gabby who said online, you love the character of Dean Ambrose. Get over yourself. So let Uncle Damian just tell you one more thing before he lets you go. There are people out there for you. They just don't happen to be WWE superstars. Okay? They're not wrestlers. They're not pro wrestlers. They're not on the indie circuit. Okay? There are people in your classes, in your schools, in your colleges, or even at a bookstore, or even at a wrestling event you may run into, and they fit your motif. So stop bitching and moaning about who marries who. Think about this, Trina. Sasha said in an interview with Lillian Garcia that she was ashamed to talk about her wedding to Mikaze because of the death threat she knew she would get or the hate he would get because he married her or she married him. Are you fucking kidding me? Let that be the day that someone tells me, ew, who you with? This is why no one knows my personal life. I got to keep some of y'all out of it because y'all will get too close. And then you know what's going to happen? I'm going to put you in your place. See, because they have the corporate brand to uphold. I don't got a corporate brand. Damian Salty G is not a corporate brand. It is me. So if I ever see anyone on my timeline getting all oogly googly over someone who's married, but they're doing it in a disrespectful tone, like I'm going to wait outside their house and sing them a song and read them a sonnet. Shut the fuck up. You get not even 2 minutes. You get 10 minutes to shut the fuck up, go sit in the corner and think about your life. I'm out. I'm done.
Oh, Damian. Don't we love him? I love Damian. I'm actually going to get probably saltier in response to your salt. I think it's tough because I understand. I was a teenage girl. I'm a big twihard. If you listen to our podcast, you know, like I totally shipped, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. I went to the last TwyCon to see them live in person. Like I get shipping people. I get falling in love with people's character, you know, like I'm currently in love with a couple characters right now, you know, so it's like, that's the way that works. Like that's life. But I think it comes down to being a good wrestling fan and just being a good person. Like don't ruin the situation or the experience for everybody else. Like I understand that some people don't have a lot of experience with relationships. And so, they end up living vicariously through people on the internet or people they see on TV or people in movies and things like that. It's fine. Like that in itself is fine. But when you start making people anxious and making people scared to talk about their significant others or whatever, like you have to realize that's the line that's crossed. Damian doesn't talk about his personal life, and the news about Dean and Renee came out this morning, and I made a joke by actually saying that I've been married this whole time, because that's the thing that I haven't wanted to talk about since we started going on air and podcasting. I don't talk about my significant other because I saw the way that people treat Damian and see the way that they treat other men that I work with in this industry. And I was like, I would like to protect my loved ones from that. And so I try to keep my personal life as much as possible out there, but out of the limelight. But I really kind of am sick of it at this point, and it's like, if people know that I'm married and they have a problem with it or they want to find more about my significant other, and go for it. I'll fight you. So,
and just an FYI for those out there who think it's me, it's not me. Okay.
It's not Damian. Me. He's marrying someone else. I'm already married. I'm not married to Damian.
I was there. It wasn't me. Okay. Even though I was in attendance, it wasn't to me.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't mention nothing about my life.
Right.
Most people just know about my dad, and I like it that way. Mm-hmm. That's what I prefer. I don't want you to know who I'm dating. I don't want you to know if I'm marrying somebody. I don't want you to know if I have a kid. I don't want you to know none of that.
Right.
You know why? Because of reasons like this. Because all it takes is one that's going to cross the path and be like, I found you. Like I told you, Trina, that one time where there was a dude outside my apartment building who literally saw me get into a car, stopped me from getting in the car to say, oh my God, Damian Salty G. Scared the crap out of the people I was with. Yeah. And scared the crap out of me. So just imagine you. Just imagine, Renee and Sasha. Imagine women catching that vitriol, from dudes and even men from women. And it's mind-boggling.
Right. It is.
And I'm a nobody.
Right. Me too. Don't worry about it, dude. And I talk about this on other podcasts and our podcasts. It's like, I'm very grateful about the fact that I don't get hate mail. And I still still haven't gotten hate mail. I'm very open with you guys. You know, I do keep a little secret about my personal life because I want to protect those people in my life. But, you know, my point is that I understand wanting to ship people or like live vicariously through people's relationships. But just know that there is a line, and you can cross it, and you can make things very uncomfortable and unsafe for people. You know, I think a lot of the people that are stans or whatever, you know, they know what it's like to feel unsafe. You know, they kind of, I think, know what it's like to feel emotionally violated. So put yourself in those people's shoes and realize that, like, you know, even though you're maybe one voice on the internet, you're part of a bigger problem that's making people feel like guarded and unsafe and just basically terrible about wrestling fandom. You know, like, we don't want the wrestlers to think that way, but there are definitely fans out there who make them feel that way. And just, you know, I don't know. I know sometimes it's a joke. I know that it's fun to like to live vicariously through people's lives and stuff, but keep some things to yourself. You know, like not everything needs to be public. You know, like I tell you guys that I'm a twihard. I'm not gonna like tell you about like how nuts I was about Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, because it's not helpful. It's not really pertinent. It's, I don't know. It's just not helpful, you know? Like, so like going out there on Twitter and saying weird things about like wrestling couples and things like that, like, it's not helpful. Like, and this is the mean part. If you are so obsessed with somebody's personal life, especially somebody that's on TV or somebody that's an internet personality or wrestling personality, podcast personality, like, you need to get more life experience, because at the end of the day, me and Damian, Renee and Dean, we're not that interesting. We're just people. We're just people. You know, like, I go see movies like with my significant other. We go to dinner, like we travel. That's pretty cool. But we're just normal people. Go and have life experiences and go and have normal relationships with other people.
How about that? Just go live a life. I mean,
that's the thing. It's like, there's nothing that we're doing or Renee and Dean are doing or that like Sasha and her husband are doing that is so out of this world magnificent. You can go and have the same experiences yourself. I don't mean to like be like, oh, go get a life. But it just doesn't look great for wrestling fans when you have people that are so obsessed with people's personal lives. It reinforces that stereotype that we are all antisocial, have no friends, virgins, live in our parents' basement, like whatever, you know, like, know that that's what you're perpetuating, you know, like, go find a hobby, go on Tinder, you know, like,
no, don't.
I don't know. Look, it didn't go through, but maybe it will next year. I wanted to do like wrestling speed dating. I mean, there are plenty of people out there who like want to get it on with a wrestling fan. Just go find each other, get it in. Like,
oh God, no! This is a Patreon only show. If we go to that level,
yeah. No. Stop being obsessed with Renee and Dean. I guarantee you, they are not that interesting. Damian and I are not that interesting. Like, I mean, I'm a little interesting, but you know, I tell you guys all the interesting things that I do. But go and make an interesting life yourself. You know, like, make yourself the people that people follow.
People talk about.
Yeah, and that live vicariously through. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, the real thing is so much better. It sounds so weird now. Real
relationships is so much better than living in the fake fandom.
Yes, that's what I meant. Real relationships.
Thank you. I'm glad I got you back on that one. So, before we go, the chat room wants to know: are you Team Jacob or Edward?
Oh God. So this might not surprise everybody, but I'm Team Bella. I kind of felt like, yeah, I don't know. I love Bella. I love Kristen Stewart. Like, she's my celebrity crush. Like, if I could be best friends with anybody that's a celebrity, it would be Kristen. Like, we would be best friends, and we'd like be the cool kids, like hanging out at parties, like not talking to anybody. You know, I really related to that character. I was in my late 20s. You know, now I kind of read it differently and see her as more of a submissive character than I probably would have been. I didn't necessarily feel like now we're getting like really nerdy. I didn't really feel like Jacob or Edward were either like worthy. They both had their drawbacks. I mean,
I just thought they were both pansy.
Yes, I mean they trust me. There's nobody here that's fantastic. I think probably the best character is probably Bella's dad. Like, if you really want to ask
the sheriff,
me.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie's the best. You know, there's problems. That book, that series, is problematic if we want to use modern day vocabulary here. And the spin-off that came from it, the fan fiction of 50 Shades, also a little problematic, but you know.
Okay, I feel
whatever.
Like it's a totally different podcast, and we're gonna get our friends on.
The point is, like, go and make your own stories, go and make your own experiences. The real thing is a million times better than living vicariously through someone else.
Exactly, and with that, this has been the Last Mark Standing podcast. Your boy Damian Salty G, your homegirl, the Marky Smart Trina. You can find the show at Last Mark Podcast, me at Dare to Be Damien, Trina at the Marky Smart. Big shout out to our sponsors, Daniel Jensen. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Love you, Dan.
And Vacated Title. Love you, Ben, for everything you do for independent wrestling, for us, for merch, for promotion. Without you two specifically, I wouldn't want to do this show as much as I do. So thank you to both of you, and thank you for all the Last Mark Standing listeners. We'll try to get more episodes on. We got busy. Life happened.
I mean, yeah. I'm, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Damien's got a lot of stuff going on, but we are still dedicated to you guys. You are still our number one priority. Life gets in the way every once in a while, but we will always find time to do this and talk to you guys. So.
Right. And like I said before, DM us if you want to talk. If you feel like you've been bullied, let us handle it. We got you. If not us, we'll find someone else to do it for us because we got it like that. Patreon.com/lastmarkstanding. $2, $5, anything. You can give me 50 cents. Buy me a slice of pizza. That's okay too. We love you, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Hang on, really quick.
What? Go.
Really quick. Thank you to everybody who was awesome to me during WrestleMania week. I know you guys probably saw that it was a little stressful. I probably overextended myself too much. I was driving people around. I was attending 15 shows. I was taking people home at like 3 or 4 in the morning, taking people to the airport. And so there's definitely a lot of people that have restored my faith in humanity for all the people that kind of made me lose it. So all the people that I met, all the fans of Last Mark Standing, everybody that's fans of me and Damian that I met in Orlando, thank you guys so much for everything that you do. And hopefully next year, Damian can come out and we'll have our own Last Mark Standing house, and it'll be awesome. But yeah, that's really it. You guys are the best. Thanks to everybody who's always supported us.
Keep it easy, kids, because you don't want Uncle Damon to get mad at you. So
bye, guys.